right, and welcome back for more of Matt and Michelle Outdoors, our destination, day trip destination on this episode, of course. We're talking about Lake Adger and the surrounding communities, everything. And Michelle, we've been so looking forward to our guest
We
for this week's
absolutely
episode.
have. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we have Melinda Massey is with us. She is the Travel and Tourism Director for Polk County, North Carolina. First peak of the Blue Ridge is Polk County, and welcome to Matt and Michelle Outdoors.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, Melinda.
Hi.
Well, thanks for, when we reached out to you and said, we were focusing this episode on Lake Adger and surrounding areas. And in the dialogue we've had since then, Michelle and I have already added to our to-do list, even beyond what we already had impressions on. We've learned so much, but that's why we do these. That's why we do this show. But first, a little introduction to folks. Tell them a little bit about First Peak of the Blue Ridge there in Polk County.
Sure. Well, Polk County is on the South Carolina border, and we're surrounded by Rutherford and Henderson counties. And, we're a small county. We're basically most known for our scenic beauty and our quiet life, if you will. And we call ourselves the First Peak of the Blue Ridge because our mountain line here, our mountain range that you see in the distance as you're approaching from South Carolina is the escarpment, the southern escarpment of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and Tryon Peak is the first measured designated peak in North Carolina of the North Carolina Blue Ridge. So we're that mountain when you're coming up from South Carolina or from Charlotte, heading over. You see that mountain line, that shape, far in the distance, and you start to get excited that the mountains are coming and. It just builds that expectation, and so we wanted to kind of call that out for people, make sure they knew that they could stop here and have a wonderful mountain experience.
Well, and we definitely saw that. One of the things that really stood out to us, and we talked about this in the first segment of the show, but the diversity of the ecology and of the topography and everything. When we were on Lake Adger and we're looking one direction, it seems like we're in South Carolina or in, other parts of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. When you turn around and look the other way, it's like we're up in the mountains. But then when we look side to side, it's a completely unique pine forest that's not like either of them.
Yeah, definitely being on Lake Adger had such amazing topography right there. Like
the diversity of it.
The diversity of it. You've got this kind of almost swampland. I come from Louisiana originally, and so I was very much like, oh, this feels like, I'm in the swamplands,
Yeah, and isn't that kind of refreshing to hear?
One area, but then in the same lake, just paddling up, there, like you said, there's this just majestic mountains. There's this the waterfalls, the woods that are just definitely Blue Ridge-esque. It's just so much beauty.
Well, and I imagine, Melinda, that, and we talked about this a little bit in the first segment as well, but it's got to be refreshing to hear people talk so glowingly and wonderful about the marshy parts of Lake Adger after the controversies, about the silt and things. But it creates such a unique experience
really does.
For our region.
And, it's just a well-planned, beautiful lake. And that Matt and I just fell in love with. Yeah. Absolutely fell in love with.
So let's talk about it a little bit, because there is a unique situation with Lake Adger too, and maybe you can speak to it a little bit about the ownership of it.
Yeah, it's currently owned by Polk County government. They bought it a couple of years ago, which means the ground, the bottom of the lake, and the water is owned by Polk County and the dam. So that's different. But they did that as a way to secure a water source. We don't have a water system here in Polk County, but if we ever wanted to grow that way, that would give us the opportunity.
Yeah, with the Green River coming in, and that's, the parts of the Green River that I had ever experienced are the much more rugged, wild, like, I was younger in my days when I went down some of the boulders and things like that.
Right.
And never attempted to paddle it in the parts that I was in, because I'm not that level rapid certified. But talk about the Green River Gorge a bit, because that's one of the areas that I've learned, because I've now experienced Lake Adger, can't wait to get back on it, but I've also been in some of the more upper reaches of the Green River, and there's all kinds of stuff in between that I did not know about, but you've been kind of educating us, so let's share it with the listeners.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Absolutely. It's the Green River Gorge is a recreation area, and it's the area upriver from the lake, and it goes from a really narrow, unbelievably fast whitewater, top class 5 adventure level, and really we're gonna call it a little bit insanity level whitewater.
What level is it? What is
five.
it is a
Class
5.
five, yeah.
Ooh, I've done a
5.
level 5 before.
You have?
I did. I fell out of the boat and
Yeah.
learned when you do a level 5, you always put your feet up. That's what you do, Matt.
I was told when I looked at it, and they said class 5, just stay alive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did a class 5, and our entire boat went over. And
that's scary.
And I'm trying to think of which river it was at the time now, but yeah, all you do is you get on your back, you put your feet up so you don't hit the boulders with your legs, and then you float. You'll float down until it gets.
Well, see what I've seen of the Green River and what Melinda's talking about
not
here.
That.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
You can't even do
Let
that.
me finish my
Yes,
sentence, because
please.
this is really important.
Yeah, I think
this
you're
is
thinking
an
of it.
area that nobody should go. I'm
Okay.
just
Yeah.
trying to paint a picture for you.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the top of it. It's an area called the Narrows, and it is a whitewater kayaking training ground, basically for professional level kayakers, because it's a dam fed river even from above that section, and so they have guaranteed water most days of the year. So anyway, that's not for us, but it's nice to picture in our mind, and the pictures, which you may have seen them, are amazing. They have a race there every November. And on the waiver that you sign, it says, we recommend that you don't do this race.
That's so funny.
So anyway,
Please don't do
we're not going to go there. You can hike along it. You can hike around it, because there are hiking trails around the Green River Game Lands, which is part of this Green River Gorge section. But then it goes from that really fast, narrow, intense whitewater river to a calm class 1 and 2 floats, rocky river floats, and so we've got tubing companies and inflatable kayaking companies that will do guided trips, or you can just get a tube and go yourself.
I can't
That
wait.
sounds
We're going to do that. We're
And
totally going to do
it's
it.
I mean, it's lazy with quotey fingers, because it's a real river, and but it is really lovely. It's great for families. It's a wonderful summer outing. It's cool and it's shady, and so the interesting thing about the section of that river is, because it's dam fed, when the water recedes in the evening, it leaves these nice deep pools with easy physical access. So fly fishermen are on the river all morning while the water is calm and in the pools, and then it's funny to say to people, but the water comes right about noon. It shows up from the dam release, and then from then on out, it is a tubing and kayaking and canoeing river. So it has two distinct personalities based on the time that the water arrives, which is wonderful, because it lets different sports people that love the water interact, and they don't get in each other's way either. So it's really very cool.
I love that.
Yeah, and the other thing too, being it's only about an hour from Asheville, and it's kind of you have such a convenient location between Greenville, Charlotte, Asheville,
Right.
and so easy access from all those areas. And yet, as we have talked to people and knowing that we were working on this episode, we've talked to people that go to Lake Lure all the time, didn't know about Lake Adger.
Yeah.
We talked to
very
people
true.
that drive all the way to Deep Creek in Bryson City to go tubing. Did not know that there's tubing right here, right close to Asheville.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so we're happy to introduce that to our listeners
you.
and get the word out there because it's so beautiful and everything. But one of the other things too that we like to look at is the other things that can be enjoyed in the area aside from the outdoor stuff is looking at shopping in the area or if there's any outdoor dining options and things like that.
Do you have recommendations?
We do, and let me just finish with the gorge if I can before we move on, because I wanted to mention, you talk about things that people don't know and tubing and how close it is and easy. We also have the steepest, fastest zip line in the country here in Polk County, and it's called the Gorge Zipline. It's about half a mile. Their outpost is about half a mile off of the Saluda exit at 26. It's so easy to get to. And it launches from the top of the mountain and descends all the way to the bottom, and you end at the Green River in Green River Gorge. And it's unusual because you just launch right off the back deck of the outpost. You actually take steps down to launch. When most zip lines, you're climbing towers and things to get the height that you need. No, here you actually take a few steps down. You start at the crest of the mountain, and it's 11 zip lines that zigzag you. They're long, and because of you're needing to descend to the base of the gorge, you're trying to cover some pretty serious ground and elevation change. So it is all auto braking, and so you don't have to worry about pacing yourself, braking yourself. You just get to relax and let go.
Wow.
And it's through a section of old growth forest, so you're just going through the most amazing treetop canopies of these huge trees, and so that will bring you down. So that's a whole different experience of the Green River Gorge than the water.
Wow, yeah, that's and having done zip lines, I've done a few in my time. I think before life started to cushion my experience.
Yeah, me too. Myself as well.
I would suggest for a lot of folks that's definitely going to be part of a day trip plan and everything. But with zip lining, the experiences I've had is always call ahead and check what the standards are as far as weight or things like that, and if they have any other advisements. Because what a great experience it is, and to go through an environment like that and such a unique experience. Michelle was lip syncing to me while you were describing it. She was saying, "I want to do that."
I have health issues since the last time I've done zip lining.
Yeah.
But I found that in general it was less scary than you think of it if you don't know it. Then you're then you do it and you're like, wow, this is just like going to an amusement park in nature, and being surrounded by it. And I did the ones that are over here in Asheville, and just such a wonderful time that to do that in the gorge and the Green River. I can't imagine the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And for the auto stopping,
yes, that's
then
a
you don't
big
even
benefit.
have to. You don't even think about it. You just do the ride.
I did one zip line where I got so caught up into the scenery, it was not automatic.
Yes.
And I did the nice feet above my head at the end. So.
Yeah, you make it automatic. They'll stop you.
It's like 5G swing set.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about some of the other things as people look at a day trip to Polk County, and you have the public boat launch, which we covered some of that already. We've given the details on that for Lake Adger if they want to do some paddling, and then also you've got the Green River. You've talked about the things there, but also dining, lodging, shopping too.
Yeah, so the two towns that are closest to the Green River and on opposite sides, Saluda is the closest town coming from Asheville. And if you haven't been to Saluda, it is the most wonderful, tiniest little town that you've ever seen. It's got a historic downtown. It's just about 3 blocks long. It has about 700 full-time residents, and it grows quite a bit in the summer because there are a lot of summer homes. But it is authentic. All the restaurants are creative, locally owned, different foods. We've got some great places to eat outdoors, like you asked. And the Purple Onion is a wonderful restaurant in a historic building right on Main Street, and then they've got a great covered patio, and then also just open air dining outside, and their food is amazing. And just down the road is a restaurant called Green River Barbecue. They also have some porch and outdoor seating, and it's a great thing. I know after we did the zip line the first time, I felt like, I had been doing a lot of work. You have this feeling like you just ran a marathon or something, even though all you did is swing.
All you did is swing in the air there. It was so wonderful.
But you just needed food, and we went to Green River Barbecue and just had the best meal, and it just made it the most fun day. So there's some great places to eat in Saluda. And then on the other side of the lake, south of the lake, is the town of Columbus, and it's got a bunch of great restaurants, from family-style kind of country cooking called Calvert's Kitchen, and then we've got The Brick, which is a great pizza and pasta place, and another great barbecue restaurant down here. We've got a lot of barbecue history because we used to have the barbecue festival here in the state barbecue championship, and so some restaurants and things popped up in relation to that, and so they do a great job.
And you guys are also fairly close to the equestrian center as well, right?
Yeah, we are. That's in our county as well, and it's just yeah. So it is. It's not in the town of Tryon.
Tryon is not in Tryon.
And Tryon is not in Tryon. No.
Okay.
But it's well, we have a weird thing where our rural communities have the zip codes of the towns for delivery. So they have a Tryon address, but they're not physically in Tryon. So it's actually closer to Lake Adger. It's in Mill Spring. It's just a few miles east of that, actually, and that's an amazing facility. They have equestrian competitions most weekends out of the year, and you don't have to know anything about horses to go there and love the experience. It is a beautiful, beautiful facility, lots of restaurants. They do a great job of interpreting what's happening. You basically have a commentator, telling you how they did and what was good, and they've got the Jumbotron, so you learn so much. But it's just a really unique and lovely experience out there, actually.
Yeah, and with lodging too, what we were looking at for people that want to make it a couple day trip or a few day trip, or maybe for folks here in Western North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, a staycation option. We saw that there's a lot of diversity of options, from camping to cabin rentals to things like that. Talk about lodging options in Polk County as well a little bit.
There are. I mean, they're all over the county, and we've really had a big growth in the vacation rental houses. And we have everything from, the very rustic and outdoorsy kind of cabins to the, top-notch modern houses. So people can find a great cabin or vacation rental in the area. We also have several bed and breakfasts. Some of them are historic, some of them are newer. And so it just depends on where you want to be. We've got a really nice inn in Saluda, the Orchard Inn, that just added spa services. And so you can go and have a great weekend getaway. They've got a restaurant on site and an amazing, gorgeous spa with the best mountain views you've seen. We've got a really great variety of places for people to stay.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I want to try them all out.
Yes, you should. I highly... And we've got a website and with a map, an interactive map that you can say, show me all the lodging, and you can see where they're placed, and then you can choose something. You can see the little pop-up previews of what it is, and then you can click through to see the details about it. So it's really easy to find a cabin or a bed and breakfast that's close to where you want to hang out.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the kind of Lake Adger options. Again, we really just fell in love with the lake, and I was like, well, we're going to have to buy one of the properties that that has a dock attached, and you don't have to. I saw you don't have to build immediately, and so I was like, we could just go camping until we're ready to build, and then go ahead and get on the lake, which sounds. But then I was like looking, and I was like, or we could just rent one of the cabins. you
Yeah.
know, we don't have to be
Right.
that extreme.
I like that.
Yeah, which I think we'll do. But there, you know,
Right.
it's great to hear all the options. And what is the website that we can go to?
So our website that has all of these places listed, and you can search and sort, is firstpeaknc.com. First, FIRSTPEAK, like the mountain, NC.com.
Well, Melinda, thank you so much for for giving our listeners a little virtual tour here, and we
Yes.
absolutely cannot wait to make another trip. We have so much more to explore in Polk County, and just thoroughly enjoyed the time we did spend there already.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
thank
Let me
you.
know when you're coming. I'll put something together for you. We'll make some fun for you.
That sounds fantastic. Look at that, wait, Jinx. All right. Well,
Yes.
Melinda, thank you so much, and we do
Thank you,
appreciate
Melinda.
you and your whole team there, and the community opening its beauty up to everybody else here in our region. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Stick around. We'll be back for final thoughts on today's episode, focused on Lake Adger and surrounding stuff in Polk County, North Carolina, right after this.